Hey there, YouTube. It's Kurt here, and today we're going to take a look at every banned spell card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. We're going to take a look at why it's banned. I'm going to review it, and in some cases, I'm going to talk about whether or not it could ever come back. Some of these should be really self-evident. Some of them are just way too powerful to ever come back, so I won't linger and talk about every one all that long, but there are some that are open for discussion, and we might not know why they're banned. All right, so we're going to start in alphabetical. We're going to start with Butterfly Dagger Alma. Now, if you don't know this, you can actually equip this to a Gearfried, and there are some infinite loops that you can do off of this. And Konami really doesn't like infinite loops. I forget which cards these can be comboed with, but if there's a lot of things that you could take advantage of when certain cards are destroyed, and if you do that in a looping fashion, that just enables a lot of degenerate play. So it's probably for the best that this card stays where it is. Now we move on to Card of Safe Return. This card is just too ridiculous. A lot of decks could just spam and like FTK with Exodia with Card of Safe Return. There are way too many decks that could do this. So Card of Safe Return is just a really unhealthy card that could theoretically give you pluses until you completely deck out. All right, now we have Change of Heart. So Change of Heart, right now, the only thing that Change of Heart essentially is a mind control without the battle condition. That probably should tell you how powerful mind control is. Mind control probably shouldn't be at 3 copies if Change of Heart is banned, because in Link format, a lot of times you're not even attacking with the monster that you steal. You're just trying to remove it from your opponent's board. So I think, honestly, I think mind control should just go to 1, and just for nostalgic purposes, Change of Heart could come back to 1, and it would be perfectly fine. What are you going to do? Steal your opponent's Boral Sword and OTK them that they made on their first turn? No, if your opponent makes Boral Sword on their first turn, they're a bad player. So Change of Heart, really, there is almost no difference between this and Mind Control right now, functionally speaking, because we are in Link format. So I think if Mind Control went to 1, Change of Heart would be fine at 1, in my personal opinion. Chicken Game. So Chicken Game kind of is a degenerate card. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, then basically you can just stall the entire game until they remove that card. That alone is a little bit unhealthy. It's almost a little bit Mystic Mine-esque in that kind of way. And it's also a free +1, which is like another upstart in your deck. And this is searchable by terraforming. With all these reasons combined, Chicken Game probably would never come back. Unless terraforming gets banned, which it actually might. But even then, Chicken Game probably still wouldn't see play just because it caused too much annoyance in previous formats. Cold Wave just completely shuts off any deck relying on any sort of spell card whatsoever. Cold Wave could never come back into the format just because the fact that spells are such an integral part of the game. This just really makes for really annoying game states that this should never be in today's format or any formats in the future, probably, in my opinion. Confiscation. So confiscation has the advantages of creeping your opponent's hand on their first turn, seeing what they're playing, and then just kind of snuffing out their strategy. This card almost does nothing going second, but the thing is, there are cards that are so powerful going first that people would probably play them anyway if they're playing a go first strategy, and they would help ensure that they won that duel almost no matter what. So this in a combination along with this and Delinquent Duo and the Forceful Century, these are cards that probably cannot ever come back to the game. If any of them ever did come back to the game, I think one that might be Confiscation is probably the least powerful one, technically speaking, and it would. If it ever came back, it could only be at 1, but it's probably too powerful to even ever come back at 1, just because creeping your opponent's hand is really powerful, and beyond that, not only do you get to creep it, but you kind of get a 1-for-1, and that 1-for-1 is almost guaranteed to be extremely powerful, because if they have depending on what they're playing, if they're playing like Sky Striker, you'll hit the engage, and all of a sudden their plays are just shut off. So it's probably way too powerful. Dimension Fusion. Some of these I have to actually look up because I have forgotten what they actually do here. Let's read it. Oh yeah, so this is special summoning from the banished zone. Yeah, if Thunder Dragon is a thing, so this could never come back. That is why cards like Thunder Dragon just would abuse the shit out of that. Too ridiculous. All right, Giant Trunade. All right, so with Trunade, you could activate continuous spells more than once per turn. So Giant Trunade probably can never come back because there's too much you can do with that. Graceful Charity can never come back because essentially it's 3 Upstart Goblins and you stack your graveyard. Way too powerful. In today's format, we could never see Graceful Charity, just for those reasons alone. Feather Duster, this could come back to 1. Since we're getting Lightning Storm, Duster at 1 would probably just be perfectly fine, in my opinion. But they probably want to sell as much Lightning Storm as possible, so it probably won't come back. But in my opinion, having that one card where when you have so much generic negation in the form of 3 Solemn Judgment, so many floodgates at 3 right now, which are pretty unfair, you need to have a counter for those unfair cards, and Duster is a counter to those unfair cards. So that could be fine at 1. Heavy Storm is a little bit different because you could abuse this on your first turn potentially, so I don't think that'll ever come back. But and that way, it can be a more powerful Harpy's Feather Duster. Kaiser Coliseum. So basically, this doesn't let your opponent summon under the right conditions. The fact that this is banned and Mystic Mine is in the format, it really makes you wonder what Konami, the research team, really thinks sometimes. Because that's a major contradiction. If this card is banned, Mystic Mine should not be in the format at all whatsoever. That's just my 2 cents. All right, so now we have Last Will. Last Will is just too generic. Last Will it could get you so many busted cards from your deck. You get any tuner in today's format. I don't even know when Last Will was banned, but it was probably banned a long time ago just because they realized very quickly how this card could be abused. This will never come back. Mass Driver. I believe Mass Driver, let me just double check on what Mass Driver is. I think this is a burn card, but it's not a hard once per turn. And that's why. All right, tribute 1 monster, inflict 400. So this is banned, but Cannon Soldier is still allowed to be in the format. Major contradiction there, in my opinion. But this is the reason why it's banned, and that's understandable. It should be banned, but Cannon Soldier is still here. Konami. Konami logic. Hashtag Konami logic. All right, now we have Metamorphosis. Tribute 1 monster, special summon 1 fusion from your extra deck with the same level. All right, so now you can just spam out like any level of monster in the game. There are decks that do that, and then if Metamorphosis was in the format, you could pull out some broken fusion monsters very quickly. I don't even want to imagine what you could do with Metamorphosis, but it probably isn't healthy. Mirage of Nightmare. Once per turn, okay, draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand. So this could be like an insanely plus card. In more grindy games, well, this would pretty much eliminate any chance of having a grind game whatsoever, just because you would always +4 and just have ridiculous card advantage. There are a lot of decks that would probably abuse that. Painful Choice. Yeah, this one just stacks your graveyard and adds a really powerful card to your hand, so this would be too busted in today's format. Avarice, shuffle 5 monsters into your deck, draw 2. Insane, stacking your graveyard is easy with that many monsters in today's format, and then Avarice getting a Pot of Greed on top of that, too busted. Pot of Greed saying drawing cards, generically drawing cards is really too powerful in today's game just because every card is so much more powerful than it used to be. So if you're new to you and watching this video, generic draws in today's game, just because it's so fast, they are more powerful than they've ever been, and that's why Konami really likes to nerf generic draws, unless of course it's Sky Striker and Gage, because they just have a real big boner for Sky Striker cards for some reason. All right, now we have Premature Burial. I think there's some infinite loops. There's a whole video on this you can search in your bar about why Burial is banned, but there are some interactions with it that became a little bit broken, and I forget precisely what it was. But yeah, there's one particular thing you can do with Burial, and that's why it cannot be in the format. All right, so Chaos Force. So We'll take a look at it here. I'll let you read it for yourself if you want to. I actually do not know precisely why this card got banned. I was not playing during the time in which this card was banned, so there must have been something really specific as to why this actually caused it to be banned. I'll actually look it up for you, and I'll try to write it as a comment in the comment section. But there must have been something super dumb you could have done with this. So I have no idea whether this could come back or not. All right, so Snatch Steal, we know why Snatch Steal is banned. You would just keep the monster forever, unlike Change of Heart. And Snatch Steal, that's just too powerful. Soul Charge was Monster Reborn ×5. All right, never should. I don't understand why it took so long for Soul Charge to even be banned. That doesn't even make sense to me. All right, so Spellbook of Judgment. Spellbook of Judgment could essentially net you like a +4, +5, or depending on how many spellbook cards there are, like +6. That would just and get you a free spellcaster summon at the end of your combo. Going that insanely plus, probably too broken. If this came back, spellbooks might actually be a thing, but I didn't play enough of them to know exactly how good it would be. That Grass Looks Greener. That Grass Looks Greener is too powerful, in my opinion. I could imagine the degenerate, like, Orcus combos you could do by just milling 20. If there are some cards that say mill 5, and if a card just said mill 5 from the top of your deck, well, a lot of them do. Like, you have to play Lightsworn. But if there was a generic card that just said mill 5 off the top of your deck, and it was a spell card, that actually might be banned, just because milling can be really powerful. Milling without any sort of archetypal cost is really powerful, and this would essentially mill 20 from your deck. So Infernoids, Orcust, or a lot of other like graveyard-heavy strategies would just abuse that. It makes sense as to why that grass would be banned. Forceful Sentry, again, we talked about Confiscation and Delinquent Duo. Yeah, Forceful Sentry is in the same lines as those. And then Rank Up Magic Launch. Rank Up Magic Launch was banned because you can make Azathoth in your opponent's turn, and then they were basically prevented from playing the game. Just way too powerful, way too degenerate. But if Azathoth leaves, maybe we can get this back. I'm not entirely sure. All right, so that's what I have. Hopefully this was informative to you guys, and we understand why a lot of these cards are banned. And a lot of them cannot come back ever. If you have any sort of questions or comments about what these cards do, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.